And we are back. Superman Earth 1.
Earth 1.
What are your thoughts?
I like typically I don't like hero reboot stories. I'm not the
There's
biggest...
not a reboot.
I mean, like where they take in the character and they kind of start over from the beginning. And they
But it's not. It's a new character. It's a completely different character.
I mean, kind of like they did like the Ultimates and stuff, where it's the same character
but a different universe.
Yeah, they just go back to the beginning. And
let me just say real quick, because I might be confusing people. We may be confusing people. The whole idea of Superman Earth 1 is about 50 years of history in like 50 seconds. Is way back in the 60s, or even before the 60s, DC had tons of universes. It was like the multiverse, and there's all these different universes of different characters, and it got really confusing. And Marvel was kicking DC's butt in sales, because it was like, you can read Marvel, good character-driven pieces about, stuff, or you can read DC, and no one knew what the heck was going on, because it was so complicated with all these different universes and stuff. So DC did this huge, big event called Infinity Crisis, where they basically, it was this like huge crossover, and they brought all the different Earths and universes down to one thing, so it was more
destroyed
simple.
all the rest of them.
They killed off a lot of heroes and stuff, yes. In fact, this is referenced in a lot of stuff. The multiverse is in the that DC movie, the JLA one, that we actually still need to do an episode on. So I really shouldn't take on bios when I'm talking. Anyways, so it's really good. And where was I? I'm like watching students.
It's kind of weird.
Oh yeah, so
the way they do it, because it seems like DC just doesn't learn its lesson or something. They just use the same writers and they don't learn, because they did it once. They did the Crisis on Infinite Earths, did the same thing.
Well, then in 2005,
they did the Infinite Crisis,
which was like bringing all that stuff back. They brought the multiverse back, but the whole idea of this one, and I didn't follow everything, but I did follow Infinite Crisis somewhat, not as well as I did Civil War, because this was kind of like their response to like the Civil War, and I have to say Civil War was so much better.
Oh yeah, Civil War.
So the whole idea is like some of these characters, they all either merged or some died off, and there was this group of there was Superman. I don't know what Earth he was from, but he's older. He's got some gray hair. He's like like a 50s, and Lois with him, who's dying, and Superboy from Earth 1. And the whole idea of Superboy from Earth 1 is that he was basically like in our world, a world that had no superheroes. He was like the only superhero, and he had just started and was kind of cut down in his prime, and which is ironic because he ends up being called Superboy Prime, or Superman Prime, Superboy Prime. I'm not sure. He was younger. He's like early 20s, and they were like trapped in this little like purgatory kind of thing. Well, they can watch and see what's going on, and they get to the point where like, oh well, the heroes that we sacrificed for, they're kind of screwing things up. That other so anyways, so the whole idea, it comes back, there's all this drama, Superman, Earth 1, ends up turning into a villain. I don't know how it gets super powerful, and it ends up taking like a whole buttload of people to beat him. He ends up killing Superboy, which thankfully they finally brought back, because he was my favorite character, way up there, some of my favorite. But like, it's like, there's several Supermans, a bunch of other like Justice League characters, and like the entire Green Lantern Corps like to take him down. Like he was like ultra powerful, big thing. They didn't even end up killing him. They ended up putting him in like this cell to where he can't get out. He's like trapped in space somewhere. And so all this weird drama, that is why it's like, why'd they do it again? Well, then like not that long ago, they did it again. Like they brought back, it was called Final Crisis. And so it's like, okay, over the last 50 years, they've been doing this crisis crap, and with this like World Eater guy, all this kind of stuff.
I think they learned something, because Marvel's got their like Galactus, and they've been doing all that kind of stuff. And it's like, hey, people like it when people attack from outer space, I guess, or I don't know what
it is. But and I haven't read Final Crisis yet, so I can't really judge it. All I know about it is it's again like all the heroes and stuff, and Batman apparently dies in it, which I don't think. That's what they want you to think. I don't think he actually dies. Anyways, we'll get caught up on that pretty soon, because we're going to be starting a segment of, we're going to be catching up on some Batman stuff. We'll talk about that next week, though. So, yeah, that's kind of what's going on with that, is like, there's this whole That's who he is. This is the story. It's not like a reboot. This is the story of Superman Earth 1. It's like another dimension, and there's no other superheroes, and all of a sudden, and Clark Kent has superpowers. And so with that, yeah. So what were your thoughts?
First, seeing Superman kind of like the younger age was kind of cool, although it was kind of odd that throughout the beginning of the story he's meeting people without the glasses or the lame nerdiness and all that. And then at the end of the story he meets people as Superman, people that seen him previously as Clark Kent. See him as Superman, don't put two and two together apparently. And
well, that was showing like he adopted that. Like the whole idea is he starts off, Pa Kent is dead, like the traditional, but they had wanted him to basically become Superman with his powers. And he didn't want to. He wanted to have a normal life. So it starts off with him in Metropolis trying to find himself, what he wants to do. He applies at all these jobs, tech jobs, football, all kinds of stuff.
Which is funny because most people I know I went through this when I went to move up here. It's like you move into a new town and the first question is, well, what can I do? It's not like, what can I not do?
Yeah.
And he's like putting in, he's like upstaging PhDs and knocking out guys that are way stronger than him on the football field, and it's like...
Oh, I was going to throw that away. There's more left. Yeah, so he basically is like getting all these job offers. And ironically, the only thing he got turned down from was the Daily Planet, which he ends up getting, because he ended up getting an exclusive with Superman. Yep. So the whole idea is, in a nutshell, it's not a super complicated story. It starts off kind of like the Superman Birthright, where he's like, I don't know what I want to do kind of thing. He applies all these jobs, I can do anything, I can be normal. He kind of feels guilty for not becoming Superman because his parents want him to. He even spends, some time at his father's grave,
Which, of course, being Superman, he can't just sit there in front of the tombstone. He has to float.
Floats in front of it, yeah.
Float.
So, and the artwork was really good, by the way.
It was very good. It was done by Grant Morrison, right?
That sounds familiar, but I've been reading so much stuff lately. It's hard to remember. So that it does all that stuff, and then all of a sudden this weird, 1970s Kiss wannabe kind of guy shows up with this huge fleet, and they start just destroying stuff all over. And so the whole idea, this is probably the most fascinating part of the story, is the origin of this whole idea of Krypton. But before I get into that, just the whole gist of the story is, I can't really do it without the origin. So anyways, they get into the idea, this guy explains to Superman that he is from a neighboring planet of Krypton, which this is all new. We've never heard any of this. This is a new take on it. And basically, every 20 years, the planets came in orbit where they were close enough to travel back and forth, because they've kind of evolved as citizens, as planets, at the same level. So they both got inner short range flight at the same time. So what do? They go to war.
So what does anybody that has the ability to travel?
That's what you have to do. You come to America, you find the Indians. Oh, let's kill them. Let's go to war. That's what you got to do, right? Yeah. So anyways,
not that we don't like Native Americans. They're great people.
Yeah, why do we just find the need to just go to war? Anyways, so the one planet, there's Krypton, which is the great planet, and there's the other planet's the crappy, hard to live on planet. And so they both kind of grow up, but the other planet's a lot harder to be on and everything. My sister tagged a photo of me. I haven't seen it yet, but everyone's commenting. That's why it keeps making noise. And I'm now starting to wonder what kind of photo it is. Because I haven't had time. I've been running around doing my car stuff and studying for tomorrow. I don't know, and I'm really hoping it's not an embarrassing picture, because all these people are commenting on it. And that's why you keep hearing that, because I keep getting email notifications. Anyways.
Angry birds are calling to them.
Yes. So
they go to war. I guess you could compare them for people in Marvel. You could compare them to the Kree and the Skrulls before they got destroyed by Annihilation.
Yeah, and so they go to war, all this kind of stuff. Well, they never said who, but someone shows up to the other people and basically say, hey, I can help you defeat the Kryptonians.
Has a Brainiac feel to me.
I was expecting it to be revealed, and it never was. Yeah, I don't know if they're going to do more stuff, which I hope they continue doing more Superman Earth 1 stories. So anyways, the whole idea is they create, and it's much better than this. We're just kind of doing it quickly so we can get into the other stuff. They have these huge drills, drill down the center, like the core of Krypton, and it creates a force field that traps the heat, and then over time the planet explodes. So he even made the comment
on a pot.
Huh?
It's like putting a lid on a boiling pot.
So he even made the comment, like, I'm starting to get a headache, that my neck is really bothering me. It's like turning to look at you is like making it even worse.
I see.
Go sit over there, okay? So I can just look, just like look straight at you. I'm just kidding. Turning, and I'm like in the middle of the kitchen. All right, set. Let's rearrange the set. No, I'm just kidding. So where was I? I'm getting very distracted.
Planet explode.
Planet explodes. Yeah. So this guy, they basically found out later that a Kryptonian escaped, and they.
I.e. Superman.
Yeah, and so they've gone from galaxy to galaxy, finding inhabited planets, just starting to destroy stuff, hoping that if he was there, it'd flush him out. After a while, if he didn't come out, they'd leave, and just millions of people would die in the process.
He reminded me like the design of his character, not his personality or anything like that, but the way he looked reminded me a lot of Archangel after Apocalypse gave his wings back.
See, I thought he looked a lot like a lot smaller, a lot like Lobo. He has the white pasty skin, the weird, lines and stuff. So yeah, almost like if you took Lobo and like Archangel and like put them together, because he did have the weird kind of like metallic,
wing
like Robotech looking kind of like anti-gravity wing things, and then his skin, his character, he looked like a scrawny. I mean, he was still a pretty good physique, but compared to Lobo, he'd been like half the size of Lobo.
Very lean, muscular.
So they, it was a good story though. They ended up, of course, the character stuff is the best, and that's the biggest thing about Superman, is that everyone I know, my wife included, like they all hate, not everyone, but a lot of people hate Superman because they go, it's boring. Now I like Superman, but I agree that like characters, like you can do so much more with Batman. They compare them, and Batman, there's so much depth there with the stuff, and Superman, it's very cut and dry. You can predict exactly what's going to happen. It's always, oh, well, he's not going to do that because it goes against his moral code, and then he's going to do this. Not that it's wrong having a moral code, but it's always very cut and dry. It doesn't feel like the writing is ever, the character hasn't really evolved a lot over the years compared to a Batman. To me, it's fascinating. Like if I was taking a psychology class, I would write my paper on him because, and it's been said, and I fully agree with it, that Bruce Wayne is the alter ego, not like he literally is Batman. Like in his mind, he's Batman, and Bruce Wayne is the disguise. He puts on the costume and goes out and plays the billionaire playboy. But it's like, and when I heard that, I'm like, that's so true. Like to me, just Batman's fascinating. I love like the mechanics of like the Green Lanterns and the whole space cop thing. But Superman, as much as I love Superman and I love seeing him, smash buildings, fight characters and stuff. His stories are never nearly as in depth and stuff, and even writers have said that it's like really hard. Like you either have to have a super powerful villain attack the planet and destroy the planet, or you like figure out a way to take his powers away. And then there's only so many times you can do that before it gets boring.
I think it's kind of a correlation that the more power a character has, the less like writing he has. Because you can look at like Martian Manhunter. He has a whole bunch of powers, really powerful character, but they don't really do much with him because of the fact that I mean, he does like the hermit thing, and it's
plus. There was a Martian Manhunter series a few years ago that I collected, which was phenomenal. They did a really good job with Martian Manhunter. They made him feel very alien and human at the same time, and it was just really good. I definitely suggest that. I don't remember what it was called. It was like a mini-series. It was like a 6 or 8 long mini-series.
He's one of my favorite characters.
He ended up dying after that, so that's why.
Which is interesting. How do you kill someone that shapeshifts as much as he does?
What do you mean, how do you kill him?
Except for fire, of course.
What do you mean, how do you kill him? I don't remember how he died, but I mean, he can die.
I mean, everything can die, but I mean, anyways.
Yeah. So.
It's 14 minutes.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, let's go ahead and just cut to the next segment.